Good evening and welcome to My Viewpoint. On this program, we get to make sure that we give you the stories that have been making news over the week, and we also get to invite you so that you can come through and share your views, your comments, and add your voice, obviously, to what I mostly call good governance. This is Ubuntu channel. On Facebook, you can get to like us, like our page, and invite your friends to like it as well. Not forgetting on Twitter, you can also get to follow us and then we'll follow you back. Not forgetting also on YouTube, you can get to subscribe to our channel. Do not only subscribe, but make sure that you also hit on the bell so that each time that we are live, you get notified. Remember, we do not own rights of the videos that we show on this platform as we gather them from different media houses and then get reactions from you. I am your host, Lance Sani Banda, taking you through the 55 minutes. And of course, alongside my host, Chaza. Chaza, hi, good evening.
Good evening, Lance. How are you doing this evening?
I am doing fine, thanks. And how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty fine, thank you. We
Mm,
are geared for tonight, and it's been an interesting week. And indeed, we have a couple of stories that I'll be looking at. Those stories and those pieces of news that have made the week.
Definitely those stories that have made the week, that have made headlines, or that have screamed in different platforms of the media, talking about social media, talking about mainstream media, which is broadcast, newsprint, and radio. And of course, we also get to bring it here on social media. Now, to kickstart the show this particular evening, obviously, let me not forget to introduce the panel for this evening. We have Lawrence on the panel to help us also discuss what we have for you this evening. Lawrence, how are you doing? Good evening. You are muted.
Good evening, Lance. Good evening, Chaza.
All
Good
right.
evening, thank
How is
you.
you?
We've been okay. What a week we've had. A lot of happenings around, and looking forward to the program.
Definitely. All right. So we kickstart the program, obviously, with President Hakainde Hichilema's working day holiday in the Copper Belt. And of course, upon touchdown in Dola, he did not forget talking about pupils and the predicament that has fallen the education sector. With the introduction of free education, we have seen many children flocking schools or flocking classes, causing other children to sit on the floor. Let's get more in this report and then we come and react to the story.
President Hakainde Hichilema has directed the provincial administration on the Copper Belt to ensure that desks are bought for all schools in the region. The president says children cannot continue sitting on the floor while learning. He says money has already been released for the purchase of the desks, noting that free education policy has led to an increase in the number of pupils in schools. President Hichilema was speaking on arrival at Mwansaka-Pwepwe International Airport in Ndola on the Copper Belt, where he's on a 3-day working visit. The president told the crowd which welcomed him at the airport that he's on the Copper Belt to thank the people for their massive support in last year's general election. More in this report by Joy Siatobi.
This is the situation in most schools following the introduction of the free education policy by the new Dawn government. Most schools lack desks, and this has caught the attention of President Hakainde Hichilema. The president, on arrival at the Simon Mwansaka-Pwepwe International Airport in Ndola on the Copper Belt, addressed the crowd that went to receive him and used the occasion to call for the purchase of desks in schools.
More children are in school because of our free education, And that's good. They're sitting on the floor. That's not good. Let's buy desks. The money is there to buy desks. The money is already there. Your government has provided money. So let's make sure that in every ward, every constituency, we check that the children are sitting on the desks. And where they are not, we buy desks quickly. That's why we've employed more teachers, so that our children can be in class to learn, not to just sit.
President Hichilema thanked the people of the Copper Belt for the warm reception.
I want to reach out to our people to thank them once more for the wonderful support that they gave us in the last election, which was very difficult because we were not able to reach you. Now we are able to reach you and will be coming to where you live.
But not without a light moment.
Have your attention, please. Ethiopian Airlines, flight 875 is boarding.
Thank you.
Boarding call for Ethiopian Airlines.
We want more flights here so they can bring tourists, they can be in our lodges, they can buy from our shops, they can leave money here. And the announcer next time announce that please spend more money when you are here in dollar. You're a visitor. We want more money here.
All right, so there you have it. President Hichilema directs Copper Belt province to make sure that administration, to make sure that they provide desks for all the schools in the province. Lawrence, let's get to start with you. Jerome, good evening. Is that you? Okay, Lawrence, you can pick it up.
Okay, I agree with the president. The fact that schools are now overcrowded shows that in the past, a lot of children were not going to school because of financial difficulties. And the free education has brought about that overcrowding in classrooms, which for me is a good problem for a country to deal with. We should be looking for such problems, actually, that people are now accessing the service and it's overcrowded. Then we can now make decisions to enhance the service delivery, how effective we can be in that line of service delivery. So in this case, the classes are crowded, and I agree with the president on this one, that it's a good problem, and solutions are always there. And also these good problems brings about a lot more of goodness to the communities, because those who are able to make desks now, it's time for them to ramp up their business and supply desks to these schools. Those who were sitting on the floor should also have a chance to sit on desks when this happens. So I think on my part, this is the kind of news that we need to be hearing from the new Dawn administration. This is the kind of problems we need to be facing as a country, and not problems of schools being empty. I think that is why I would be worried. For this one, I'm also happy. This is a good problem.
All right, Jerome, the new Dawn government says that procurement of desks or these other things will be done from the local. Talking about this time around, we're talking about Copper Belt province, where he has directed the Copper Belt administration to provide desks in different schools across the whole province. CDF, people have not been able to access it yet, and then the president gives this directive. Are we going to see these desks purchased in the local or maybe imported from other provinces?
Thanks very much, Lance. This is a very important topic. One thing that we would love to see is that we want a country that is productive, and one way of making a country to be productive by making our own things that we should be using. This, we can't be importing desks in this time, 50 plus years after independence.
Okay, it seems like
weaken our kwacha. That would weaken our exchange rate. I would love to see that this country begin to manufacture things like desks, toothpicks, cornflakes, There is no way in this era we can be importing things like toothpicks, cornflakes, razor blades, name it. We're importing almost everything in this country. So it's a good start. Let's see the creativity. Let's see the what.
Okay, looks like.
Can you get me?
Yes, I can get you. Whoa.
Hi, Chaza, can you get me?
We have been getting you, but again losing you. So probably it could be the issue of connectivity there. And we can see on the screen there that there's a connectivity challenge.
Definitely. So perhaps you can pick it up, Chaza, from where he left. Is this directive going to be, realized earlier, as soon as possible?
Looking at what the current government has been doing, it appears they've been proactive in quite a number of things. So ours is anticipating a positive reaction to that directive. And we are so optimistic that definitely we are going to see a positive change as the instruction has been given.
All right, so thank you so much. Remember that we have shared with you the link to the studio. You can join us right here in the studio. This is an open discussion for you. If you feel that you have something that you would want to bring out of your chest, which is burning, come through into the studio, be part of the panel, be part of the discussion. Stop speculating, because I know that you also have one or two things to say about it. Chaza, we can move to the next story.
And just before we move to the next story, again, to think of it, the numbers of pupils that are in schools right now are so overwhelming. So we just hope that these desks that are going to be procured are going to cater for every pupil in school, because enrollment levels are actually uncontrollable. So really, if the government will definitely manage to provide even whatever is needed, even in terms of desks, that would be so nice, because it will be so disappointing, to have this free education at this level and fail to actually cater the necessities in these schools.
Definitely.
And Chaza, just to add on, imagine your child goes to school with this weather, the way it is. It's very cold, and they're sitting down on the floor. This should be done as quickly as possible. We need desks in the schools. The president says the money has already been sent to these constituencies. May we quicken the process so that these funds can start benefiting these children?
Exactly. All right, we make progress to the next story, and the next story is about citizens at a given place called Munkulungwe Ward on the Copper Belt that are being displaced, and they are crying out loud to say, we are actually the people that are supposed to occupy this place. Let's get more in the clip that we are going to view next.
Ndola district has continued trending in the area of land disputes, with the latest being in Munkulungwe ward of Bwanamkuba constituency, whose residents are fighting running battles with Mushrock Mulberry and Sharrock group of companies, which the residents say the land was given to them by late President Rupia Banda when FQM concluded operations at the slag dams in the ward, but the company wants to vacate them.
Twaikele pamusebo epo twambira kwalangana mutala ichachi na barupia banda fo bayishire efo bashire fo barupia banda no kwamba kutwipsa finshi bana maye mulefu aya tuwali balondole kubati tatukikele bwino nambe bale tutebela amanda ko tukani kwise pantu tibe na Zambia shire bolo kubati balupya banda nabatupera empanga fwe bekashiba mbwana mkubwa mkwai ili edi ashira balupya banda bafumisha mukano kabo edi batupera fwe bekashiba mbwana mkubwa
bamukukulu bapompwe bamushibira nsara beshire ukwisa mukwiba ino empanga baishire n'amapepara ya mu 2021 atwalishita ino empanga 2022 yafuma n'amalicense yabo so echo tule ilishanya kulimo ba president wafweni
umuntu wafuma fe kumbya sanda cyalishita uno mushi ngaifwe ni kwisoko tuleya
WDC chairperson Evaristo Mtambo said the committee is surprised with the outcome after engaging the company.
They had agreed that yes, we messed up. We actually messed up with community land. So what we are going to do, we are going to leave those pieces of land that has been marketed, planned for the community, and you are going even to find another extra land for the community. Agreed. And today now they are back with another group saying no, they bought this land in 2021.
But when reached, a company consultant Jonas Sakunda said the politics are at play regarding the land.
Okay, yeah. So the truth is that that land was sold to Mulberry Development Limited by the owners who are First Quantum Minerals. All track record of transaction is documented, and we are actually the complainants who went to complain to the police for encroachment and illegal allocation. There's a group of individuals who, in the PF, they were demarcating land, and we reported this issue to the police.
Meanwhile, when reached to understand the transaction of the land, Ndola City Council Public Relations Manager Rebecca Mshota said she would need more time to get information from Director Planning and Legal at the council. For S24 News in Ndola, Love Mosandash.
There is a land dispute, and the question would actually be that who is the legal owner of such a piece of land? People have been on this land for some time, then there comes a company, they are saying they have bought the land, and they are producing certificates that could have been obtained last year. Your reaction to that? I can see you are smiling, Lawrence. Let's start with you.
I think I'm actually laughing because I've seen these stories before, and when we go by the report, the community members are saying the land was given to them by the late His Excellency Rupia Bwezanibanda some time back. Now, in the same clip, we are being told Kalif Mamkanwa Kabu. Amashuya from Mkano Kaba Rupia Banda. So it was given to them by word of mouth, verbally given to them. And I've not seen the community produce any documentation to that effect for that land, and it becomes tricky. The company, on the other hand, is said to have bought it from the local authority and have documents of that same piece of land. So the thing is that it's disheartening, to be honest, that we'll have all those community members being sent away from a place they have called home for a number of years, and it all comes down to the fact that they do not have documentation for that piece of land, such that even if this issue goes to court, I think the court would not entertain stories that the president said, the former president said, yeah. The procurements, pronouncements, I mean, from the presidency can be said to turn out into law. But I think the community should have followed up this issue and ensured that the right documentation was obtained over the same at the time when the president then gave them this land, and it could have served as evidence to that effect that they own that piece of land. But as things stand, it's really difficult on their part to prove. And I think the only way they can survive this is if the government again comes in and maybe tries to secure a different place place for Mulberry there to settle. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a difficult task for the community to prove ownership of that particular land.
Brilliant. What about our dear colleague? What do you say about it? Yeah, I think you are on mute.
Yeah, I want to agree with Lawrence, but one thing that I need to add on is that this is where we need decentralization. Imagine if the Minister of Lands was decentralized, it would have been very easy to resolve that issue. Now, imagine those people, they need to come to Lusaka so that they can be attended by the Commission of Lands here in Lusaka. How much are they going to spend? Imagine. And these are villagers, one, that they don't even know where to start from. That's why they're just crying, saying, we are given this land by the president. They don't know the offices where they need to visit. Again, this is why politicians, again, will disappoint citizens. They'll only say what you want to hear because they want votes. Okay? And that's why maybe the president, the late president, said that, saying this is your land, and that's all. No one followed it up. After they have won, they got what they wanted, and that's all. That's how some of the politicians work. But the main point here that I want to stress is that we need decentralization in this country. There is no way we have land disputes in Ndola, or maybe in Kaputa or in Chiengi. They still need to come to Lusaka for the issue to be resolved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And indeed, just like Lawrence has put it, it's so unfortunate that, you may be crying out loud, but let us remember every time that the conclusive evidence to ownership of land is that certificate that is granted by Ministry of Lands. Lance, let's take it up to the next story.
Well, I also have a side of my own before taking it to the next story. First of all, colleagues, we must question everybody in that report to say the time that former late President Rupia Banda was giving that land to those residents, who was the sole owner? Okay, who was the sole owner of the land? And was there some sort of agreement between the owner of the land and the former late president to say this land you can give it out or you can use it for a campaign message or campaign anything that politicians do? All right. Then thirdly, let me go to the reporter. Since we are analytical here, the reporter, for me, has not done justice in reporting the story. He mentions that that the president, Rupia Banda, former president, gave that land to those people. It was an FQM dam site and everything. Why didn't he go to FQM to find out on the ownership of that land? Did they relinquish that land to any person? He claims, or in the report, he reports that the Mulberry Company bought that land. Who did they buy it from? Okay, who did they buy it from? So the reporter was supposed to do justice by doing an investigative journalism of going to all these players that are involved to get concrete information, so that even as he reports, we were going to have rich information and it was going to be easy for you and I to make a concrete decision to say, here, this is the group that has erred. But for now, we are speculating to say these residents erred because they depended on word of mouth from the president. But we haven't heard FQM's side. Did they sell that land? Did they give out that land? And if so, where was the documentation, or where is the documentation? At what point did they give out that land? What were the pros and cons in the giving out of that land? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves, and these are issues that needs to come out to the public so that we can understand on how to go about this story. And the best that also Bwana Mkubwa, Member of Parliament, should do, he should take keen interest in this story, follow it up, call all parties that are involved in this land issue or land wrangle, if it was to be resolved amicably. Call all of them, sit them down, get the facts of the whole story, and then let's take a look at the papers, because you have said it. If you are to present this case in court, the evidence that you can only have that this is your land is if you have the land title or title deeds, which is given by the Ministry of Lands. So currently, who has that title deed of that land? This is what we need to know. This is what we need to find out. So for me, the reporter has given us half-baked information. We needed also FQM's side to know where we lie and who we can maybe toss the ball to say this one is okay or this one errant in how they did their thing. So for me, that's my take on that story.
All right, Lance, I like your analysis of this story, and just to conclude on the same story, I think we also need some law reforms as land administration is concerned, because just like I earlier submitted, that the conclusive evidence that you own land are the certificates in this case, which are the title deeds. So you'd find that people could have stayed on a piece of land for a long time, and you know, they are not protected because somebody has just come in circumstances that are even unexplainable, and they have actually obtained you know, the title deed, and they go scot-free just like that, and people would go out there suffering. Sometimes you'd find that maybe there are even some ownership, maybe by the council, and you have stayed on this piece of land for a long time. Then somebody gets to Ministry of Lands, then they get the title deeds and displace you just like that, leaving you in the court. So there must be some kind of protection. If you have stayed on a piece of land for a long time, maybe even customary or maybe by the council or anything like that, there must be some protection for you, so that he who comes after you, there must be a procedure to be followed and satisfied for them to actually have you know, title deeds to such a piece of land. Okay, so for now, let's break for a commercial. On the other side, Lance, you take it up with the next story.
Ubuntu means humbleness. Ubuntu means humility. Ubuntu means love. Ubuntu means humbleness. Ubuntu means humility. Ubuntu means love.
You are still watching Point of View on Ubuntu channel. Remember, on this particular platform, we get to give you the chance to come through, be part of it. Ubuntu. All right, so sorry about that, but the program continues. Like I was saying, on this platform, we get to give you a chance to come through either via comments, or you get to come through via the studio link that we have shared with you in the commentary box, so that you can share a view, express a view, and probably comment on the stories that we have. Now, moving on to the next story. The next story is about Chief Matanda, who cries for development in his area. Let's get to look at this clip.
residents of Matanda Chiefdom of Luapula province have complained of being neglected by the leaders they voted for. Those spoken to by Prime TV also not happy with the state of the road in the area.
Emisebo fyaba fye fimbi twapapata mwebuteko twafweni nabaye pyuko muri bakirufya twafweni lolesheni ko piribukireni ko kono mwese mumone ko abantu benu bali misalile abantu abanga ba misala kufa mu bombe fintu ifituntulu twamipapata tulepapata sana iseni mumone abantu benu
tulero mbako twapapata mwebuteko tulibegala cyaro na ifono kuvota tulasara nomba utimwa tulekesha shani ifi amaraiti takwa amaraiti bashire tubikira fye mapozi kwa kum 2015 kufika na nomba yewe haraka na mapozi yali ambano kupya kumuliro file pona no kupona
network nga yafika fye kuma 16 hours ni shiambo kushupa ero kaifi mbinde rishanya ko pamulandu wa kuma hospital umuchita takuli so abantu balechula sana kumulandu wa mipolele ya nani ya bulwele
ngachafika 17 hours ni network yaye kashikula bokushupikwa sana elo kana tuwataka no bwafya bwa misebo na enemy ndeta ili bwino imitengo ile la kofi pantanji mulandu wako atatukweteko musebo usumawe so natukyula sana twafweni mwe buteko bakuru bati na ifoti weko nga abantu twachula sana kuno tuni kwa Matanda
ambulance fino fine njipa bukulu ukweba ati bakutwala ku maternity ifumo lya shupa kano balolera ambulance yafuma kumansa ero yaisa kusenda bushe kuti wapusuka pa kuti ambulance ifume kumansa nomba munshira taiweme yali bane filindi nde ilishani yako kubuteko batu afuirishe kwa ambulance pa clinic.
And Chief Matanda of the Ushi speaking people says it's unfair to see that the electricity connection which started in 2015 has been abandoned.
Mapoye nayo ntambo eko shiri apo chakatira katushimini ngalipi apo buteko bwa pwile ebwa kitelefidia nomba baisa pona bena chile kabira kupwisha tumunya malaiti kuno ngakulifu mungu wa polisi kwete malaiti kwena pali abo ni nena alibika pa number 1 abenyo kwete malaiti nomba nishinga kwate malaiti ejo kuli mabuya kuli government department sayingi kuno.
The traditional leader also urged Minister of Communication to erect a network tower in the area as the one they depend on usually goes off at 16 hours until the following day.
Network iba ikuli kalewa kapateka busubali basata mpashwa utoshe mzigote mufuma pakali pipa lakini after 17 hours and 16 communication kwa siku no awe nakajana yaiwa mai kama fie so the people wamisa wa communication watu mungira ko kakatao.
Thank you so much. Dr. Chitalu Chilufya is the member of parliament for that particular constituency, which is hosting Chief Matanda, who complains bitterly of none of development in the area. Ruben, I would want to start with you. We had a woman there complaining that even if you are pregnant, it becomes very hard for the ambulance, or let me just say, if you have an emergency, it's very hard for the ambulance, to operate because of the bad states of the road. How quickly should this be attended to by the current government, and obviously maybe through the CDF allocated to this constituency?
Right. Thank you very much, Lance. Indeed, it's unfortunate. This is something which is very important in terms of healthy, good road network. Now, two things that we need to talk about here, Lance. What is it that these people want? Do they want a road or do they want a clinic nearby? For me, I would go for something which is realistic. I think a clinic nearby might be helpful than building a road. Okay, it might be quite cheaper for them if we were to build a clinic for them, so that if people are pregnant, they are not ferried to far away health facilities for them to be attended to, but they need to be attended to within their localities. So is it something that can be done? Yes, through the CDF. The CDF has been allocated, and from what the president said in the earlier stories, that the money has been sent to these constituencies. So I hope the WDCs, the Ward Development Committees, can agree and say, let us use the CDF to build a health facility. Thanks, Lance.
Well, Lawrence, we have also seen the chief complaining about electricity or power. He even complains nearby villages, they have power, they have electricity. For him, it's quite unfortunate, and he is a traditional leader, and of course network is really a challenge, because chifukwa kulibe malaiti pese kakatawa kaja yakaenda malaiti ye yakachita power na network yaenda, you have emergencies in the night. How do you deal with such a situation?
I think Matanda community is just an example of a lot of villages out there that are facing similar challenges. I think I've traveled in a lot of rural areas, and I have seen a lot of places that have that were told in the past, especially during campaigns, that we are going to do this for you, and they give them hope and abandoned projects just like that, just as they have stated in the clip that even poles for electricity were put in place, and that's how the project was abandoned. Well, there are places that I've been to that I've seen gravel heaped and thought we are going to build a road, and it's been years now, nothing has been done. So it's just an example. I think it's imperative that politicians begin to take the electorates seriously, because we should be able to take these politicians by the word of their mouth. If they come and stand telling us, I'm going to do this, I'm going to work on this, they should be able to do that. I think sometimes let us be honest with each other. Let's reach a stage where we should be able to explain, to say, look, we want to have a road here, but we do not have the funds. If we happen to have the funds, we will let you know. But as at now, we cannot even give you a promise to say we'll do it, so that people know. Unlike people turn out in large numbers to vote, and a project which was started to woo them to vote for them is abandoned midway. You know, it's a reason why we are seeing voter apathy in some instances, because people just feel even if they tell us they are going to do this, it will not happen. Even if they say they are going to do this or they are going to work on that, it will not happen. So why am I wasting my time going to stand in a line for hours and hours just to vote for a person who is busy lying to me? So let's reach a stage where we sit down and put our heads together, so that the electorates understand the challenges that the government is facing, and the government also understands the challenges that the electorates are facing, so that we are able to balance. I have always told a lot of people that I have a lot of misgivings in the development that we've seen in the recent past, where we prioritized even building roads in unnecessary roads in townships, and yet there are more important roads that needed to be built, and we have neglected them for years. I always give a good example of in economic sectors, the Nakonde Road. That road, any serious people should have thought that road is very important and should have never been left to reach that stage. But we did that while we were building roads in Kawata, in Salama Park. We have new roads there, and of what purpose are they serving? It's people like those in Matanda community that need those roads, because they need to go to the hospital in case of emergencies. I heard Ruben talk about bringing the clinic nearby. But at the end of the day, even the clinic has got limitations. There are things that they cannot do. They will still need to make some referrals to bigger hospitals. And if the road is that bad, I think it's very difficult. I've seen in Mongu, some in Western provinces, some areas where they will tell you an ambulance cannot reach this area in rain season because the whole place is flooded, and therefore we have to start looking for boats to take people, to ferry pregnant women to the hospitals. Situations like that are there. So I think it needs a lot of attention. We need to have serious planning and serious dialogue. It's unfortunate that the key decision makers are seated in offices in Lusaka and do not understand the exact challenges on the ground in the rural areas. I think that is where we also come to the fact that I agree with Ruben, where he says we need decentralization. I think it's very, very urgent that we do that, because we cannot have key decision makers seated in Lusaka while people in the rural areas, where those decision makers have never even reached in their lives, they do not understand the urgency of some problems the people down there are facing.
Well, I don't know if Chaza or Lawrence or Ruben can pick this up. Last week on this very program, we talked of the Rural Electrification Authority, REA, that has been connecting rural areas on little amounts of money, because they understand the challenges that are there in the rural areas. Their program is coming to an end this July, and their target, they just reached 30% out of 100. And then we have ZESCO also that has proposed to ERB to increase connection fees. Now, Matanda has not been connected for a very long time, even when electricity connection fees were very little. This time around, suffice that ERB approves the adjustment of connection fees. Will Matanda ever get connected? I don't know. Anyone
Ruben,
can pick it up.
you can take it up. I can see you smiling. You are ready, I'm sure, to take this one up.
Yeah, I'm laughing because we need to find out first, like, under which project were those poles erected? Were they under REA? Because if they were under REA, I think REA is I've seen their program, like in Wangeni constituency. Well, they've done a tremendous job. They finished their project there, and Wangeni has got power. Coming back to Matanda, we need to find out how those poles were erected, under which project. I'm suspecting this should be under ZESCO project, and it was initiated because of either campaigns or because of political activities. For something to be abandoned, I've seen this several times when there's a by-election or the elections nearby. And if you heard from the clip, they were saying in 2015, they said in 2015, I should suspect this was a election period when that project started. Actually, I'm sure it wasn't even budgeted for. It was just a random project. This is something, again, which we need to investigate. SEC should take keen interest in this story, because it's either the monies were allocated and were embezzled, or they started a project which was not budgeted for and the monies were not there. Either of the two. But I'm suspecting to be one of those, like FTJ Chiluba case. I submit.
All right, Chaza, over to you.
Yeah, I think much has been said. All that I can say is that development must be spread countrywide. And the politicians, the government must always remember that even people from remotest areas actually participate in elections. They do vote. So there's no way we can only have development in the urban areas and forget about remote areas. Development must be spread countrywide. That is my submission. Be it campaigns, no campaigns, development must be there and it must be seen. And at this time of the day, we cannot be talking about issues like network. I got that from the clip that at 16 hours network is shut down. meaning that this particular place is actually cut away from the world. They cannot make calls, they cannot do anything. And worse off, even in time, they don't have electricity, road network, there are no roads, there are no clinics. So what really are we thinking about, people in such areas? I think it's high time that the politicians, the representatives, and everybody, they have a human heart and have such people in contemplation.
Well, we get to move to another clip as Matanda residents get to suffer without their road getting tarred or worked on, without having proper power connections. We have government paying 209 million kwacha to civil servants that wrongly. Imagine, there's no money to put up pause in Matanda, but government decides to pay wrongly 209 million kwacha to this is 6,444 civil servants. Let's look at this clip.
The allowances that were erroneously given to some public officials under the Ministry of Education include housing allowances amounting to 42,841,959 and 20 kwacha given to 2,599 officials. Rural hardship allowances of a whopping 13,290,349 and 38 kwacha were also given to 423 public officials. Remote hardship allowances totaling to 2,925,563 and 14 kwacha were also erroneously given to 56 officials. Other allowances include double class allowances totaling to 61,094,551 and 71 kwacha given to 3,075 individuals, while responsibility allowances of 81,390,297 and 88 kwacha was also given to wrong public officials, according to a report by the Auditor General's Office. Following an audit that was conducted to ascertain the correctness of remunerations paid to serving public officials under the Ministry of Education, it has been discovered that some urban-based officials remain silent after erroneously receiving allowances. In order to recover the money, Minister of Finance Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane has said the affected public officials who think and have reason to dispute the findings should follow the laid-down procedure in airing their views, and that their cases will be subject to verification, and if found credible, remedial action will be reviewed with the parent ministry and the Auditor General to make refunds, adding that submissions will be scrutinized on a case-by-case basis. I'm Calvin Kaumba.
All right, so there it is, 209 million kwacha wrongly paid to civil servants, about 9,444 there. It's an open debate. Anyone can pick it up. You don't want to get into it first.
Let me go first, Lance.
Okay, you can go on, Ruben. You can go on.
It's not something that is new in the civil service. If we've got an HR who I can connive with at district level, okay, and say, yes, I've been transferred here, but don't remove my name, indicating that I work for this district. Okay, I keep on getting the for example, let's say I'm working in Matanda. Okay, I push for a transfer to, let's say, to Lusaka. We connive with the HR at the district level and say, let's just leave my file to be there so that I can be getting hardship allowance. I'll keep on getting that money. Okay, this is why again I come back to what I said earlier on. We need decentralization in this country. You don't expect the Auditor General's office all the way from Lusaka and the PEMIC office, which is in Lusaka, to know every civil servant in this country. If we were to decentralize the PEMIC to maybe to provincial centers, would have been very easy to detect such errors and normalize them quickly. But as long as the people that are managing the payroll for the civil servants still sits in Lusaka, there will be these issues of manipulation of the payroll, where someone is transferred, but they connive maybe with the HR at the district or maybe at the province, so that their name still remains there. We've seen such. Last, I'm sure you've heard where someone has died, but people are still getting the monies for them. People are getting paid, but someone has already has passed away. So for me, I think decentralization is the only way to stop this. I don't know what others think.
All right, Lawrence.
Well, I really laugh when I hear such stories because I know the repercussions of it. You know, it's money that one can receive. If it might have been erroneously, or it might have been through conniving, whatever the case, you receive that money, spend it, and following month you receive some more. For a number of months you keep on receiving, and then it always becomes funny when things like this happen and it is discovered. Then they'll have to recover their money, and now unfortunately you find that our civil servants pay slips mostly have got loans, and I should say they remain with just a small portion of their salaries, as most of them are repaying loans, and on the same pay slip they will effect another deduction to recover the money that you collected, whether erroneously or in whatever circumstances. And then the same pay slip, they have to also get some union fees. On the same pay slip, you have to get deducted loans, you know. Yeah, and at the end of the day, we are subjecting our civil servants to more and more suffering, you know. And I'm sorry, I know how this feels because I think I've received some money from my workplace before, erroneously like that. And my case, I reported, but money was already paid. I was told there is nothing we can do, we cannot refund, so we'll deduct it from the next one. And the deduction felt like I was donating. It really hurts. It really hurts, and it can be one of the demotivating factors, you know. And especially in the case of our civil servants who do not get so much money, and it's really demotivating. At the end of the day, I think the onus is on us as employees to make sure that if we receive money that we know we do not deserve, and our pay slip says that, it's important that we try and report so that we avoid some of these problems. Because when these kind of situations arise, it's going to eat into your budget, because you did not expect it. First and foremost, you adjust your budget to receiving allowances that you do not deserve. For a period of time you receive them, and then when it is covered, that money, that extra money is stopped, meaning that your salary goes back and your budget has to adjust backwards. And not only will it adjust backwards to the effect of the stoppage of that undeserved allowance or monies, but they also start eating into what you deserve now, so that they can recover what you got in the past. It's really unfortunate, and I feel for the affected civil servants, and hope that next time they also learn a lesson like I did. You report as soon as possible so that you avoid some of these things.
Will institute an inquiry board on you to see or to find out if you really reported. Munkeleba, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. How are you, gentlemen?
We are doing fine, thank you.
My apologies. My video is not that conducive.
Okay.
No.
Yes, please.
All right. So we are talking about government wrongly paying 209 million kwacha to 9,444 civil servants.
I'm not really conversant with that subject. I don't know what happened. Is it in the news? Is it the latest thing that just came out? Or?
All right, so with the interest of time, let's get to the next clip so that you can be able to comment on this one. So,
Right.
gentlemen and ladies that are watching, away from Matanda residents who are complaining about development, obviously we go to another yet I don't know, today I was all about remote areas. So we go to another remote area where they are complaining of a bridge. Sure. Bridge after Yagomoka. Let's see this clip.
The allowances that were erroneously given to some public officials under the Ministry of Education include housing allowances amounting to 42,841,959 and 20 kwacha given to 2,599 officials. Rural hardship allowances of a whopping 13,290,349 and 38 kwacha were also given to 423 public officials. Remote hardship allowances totaling to 2,925,563 and 14 kwacha.
This is the state of affairs at Masaba Bridge in Bahat constituency, which connects Mansa Central. The bridge was allegedly destroyed in 1964 during the struggle for Zambia's independence. Residents here have complained that all the previous government and members of parliament have paid a blind eye on the bridge.
Hii bridge kale yaonaika okufuma fye mu 1964 munshita ya Chacha. Lero tulayidishanya kunu monku nama MPs na bakansela bonse balimona. Lelo kushintana nomba tapabe chachikane elyo chimo.
Ba mobile balayisa shani, balayisa babuke. Kutampo ukutoba kasi twayirengera amafia. Efyo batobere 1961 ala 6 efyo batobere ibiki, efyo yawo naikire. Ukufuma hapo penyolo yawo naika. Tuliaba kashiana tuliaba aike. Nomba twasukwa twakota. Biki no buwamia.
Village headman Kasuba says children who access education at Masaba Primary School have stopped due to the poor state of the bridge.
Kwa Masaba na wapita pele pa bridge. Kwali umwaka uyu mwaka wafumineko umoga school wali ibira pele pa bridge ukuya mwabuliro ko kutali kumumaneko baile mwabushisha. No munako na wakonka pwatu mwacha wanjana na ibira pele pa mumana.
Residents here have also accused the former area members of parliament of neglecting them.
Mwamona omunesu kilufya kitalu kuisiri oku alipanga makliniki nemise bwaseresya nomba fwe ba MP bakuno na ba councilor batubepa fyobufi ila febriki mutuletereko mutuwamisheko mubebe baekieki tuwe bafwaya baekieki ekyo twabasalire okweba ati ifintufuka kiteshani imbiku tifyakinja.
And Kaole Ward Councillor Vesta Kalumba had this to say.
That road has never seen a grader. And we promise that we are going to do that. And we are going to do that. We are assuring the Kabunda people that we are going to do that. As for the bridge crossing over from Kabunda to Masaba Bridge, Masaba area, which is in the Mansa Central, that's a very big project. That project is supposed to be handled by RDA. We are still in talks with RDA, and I'm sure the central government is going to do something. The UPND government has started projects. So, as area councillor, I would urge the people in Kabunda to be very patient, because when you're starting a race, sometimes it's it's not easy. You start slowly and then you are going like that. We know that President HH means so well for the people of Bahat, for the people of Kaole, and for everybody in Zambia. So I'm very sure, let them hold patience. We didn't lie what we were saying. things are going to get well soon.
A reliable source at Mansa Municipal Council told this reporter that the former regime funded this bridge together with Lukwino along Kawamba Road, but no works have been done so far. More than 2,000 school-going children are risking their lives when crossing the bridge during the rain season, as the bridge has claimed several lives. Reporting for Prime TV News, I'm Jobili Malambo in Mansa, Luapra.
Certain statements leave much to be desired, and this is where Ruben comes in and say certain projects are erected when it's about time for elections. Politicians come through and practice their politics and trick the people into voting for them, and then after that these projects are not worked on. Let me start with Mukeleba, who has just joined us, as we have little time to discuss this issue, as we also have to wind up the program. Mukeleba, your thought on the story?
It's quite sad to see such kind of situation that people are going through, and yet you see just an average or a member of parliament or the so-called minister has a property that is so big and even keep animals. They have mansions. They've spent millions of dollars on one property, and yet you see villagers, people in the village, in the rural areas, they are lacking just a simple bridge that ought to have costed, or that might cost less than $1 million. That is how our government, our previous government, or the people that we had voted for had lost it. That they were not there for the people, but they were there for the interest of their tummies or bellies. It is quite sad. And I'm glad that this is shown on national television, and the current government is noting all these fake promises that the previous regime made, that they're going to mitigate and help those people. People have died on those bridges. The children have died, but they don't seem to care. So I would also urge the villagers or the people within the locality where the bridge is, not to just sit back and wait for the government to come and help them, because these politicians that we have in Zambia, we know how they are. They are very selfish. They just want to develop places where they are, not where their votes come from. So I would urge villagers to come together. They cannot fail to raise even 100,000. If they were to start donating money, each villager brings a 25 kwacha. From 1964 to Lelo, you think they would have failed to build their own bridge? Ni interest. Abantu tabakwata interest. They just want to leave everything. That's why turachura no kuchura, because tulekerera ti boma is ayanga napo. Meanwhile, certain problems we can resolve them ourselves. We just have to change this mindset of this dependence syndrome of depending to the government. Everything is the government. If we collectively put our heads together in a village, we can build beautiful roads or even nice bridges for ourselves.
Well, thank you so much, Kireva. Like I said, in the interest of time, we have to cruise in making our submissions, because after this, we are saying our bye-byes. Lawrence, from 1964 up to now, Bahati has seen ministers, MPs come and go. No development.
I think this one is a sign, it's an embarrassment to us as the people. I look at the old and our mothers telling us that the bridge was got damaged in 1961. And here we are, 2022. We are talking about the same problem that people have faced. Is it that the previous, the previous governments, all of them, did not see the problem? Or is it that the kids and children who have died in that along that bridge are not enough to call for concern? Because I know for a fact that in this country we always seem to be reactive and not proactive. When someone dies, that's when we want to remember that there is something that has not been done in the past. And even if that has happened in that area, no one seems to be moved as at now. And then I hear the fact that the previous government had funded that bridge, but no works have been done. I'm lost there. Is it that the contractor was paid and like the other, like the FTJ University and the like, and no works were done? Or is it that it was the money was released on paper and by word of mouth, and no money really was released? I don't know what exactly could be done, but I think it's an embarrassment to us as a people, and these are stories that sometimes we feel as Zambians we should not be looking at, because they make us remember that sometimes we are naive, and this is not supposed to be the case. Let us take the lives of our citizens seriously as we go into these public offices. Let's remember that at the end of the day, it is what we put in for the people that people will remember us for. And if we look at that area, it should be in Bahati constituency, if I'm not mistaken. It should be in Bahati constituency, and that place has even produced ministers, and one of them is even vying to be president of this country soon. And I think he should look at himself in the mirror and wonder how he missed that area, that bridge, because over 2,000 children depend on that bridge to go to school. I think, to me, it's very important that we should have worked on. I submit.
Thank you. Jerome, I think for you, box you by giving you a minute, obviously, in responding. Lip service has continued from our politicians. Since 1964, the bridge hasn't been fixed. And that ward councillor says he will keep his promise in fixing. Lip service has continued. Your reaction?
Lance, let me take it in this manner. The reporter was saying that monies were released, but the project wasn't done. I think ACC and Anchito, guys. ACC and Anchito MB, I feel sorry for them, because that's another case for them that they need to investigate. If monies were released and then nothing was supplied air, like the president said, was supplied air, surely ACC need to move in. Again, something that is laughable, Lance. Every time when you have by-elections, you hear the ruling party will say, you vote for ours because they will bring development. If you vote for the opposition, there's nothing that they will bring. But when you look at Luapula in the last 10 years, they've been electing leaders from the ruling party. But what is coming out from the news and really what is in the northern province and Luapula is something that we need to laugh about and say, sometimes it's better we don't have leaders. I submit.
Thank you so much. As we conclude.
You were breaking. I didn't get what you said, Lance.
We can conclude.
Okay, great. Time definitely is not our best ally. And on the last piece of news, all we are saying is that the people out there, we are talking about a bridge. And to me, looking at that rural setup, it appears it's the only means of communication that they have. Because without that bridge, they cannot move. They do not have roads. We can't even talk about roads and other things. It's just that bridge. which is the most important thing to the people of that place. So the government, it's high time they look at such paramount and necessary things that people need. Because if we have the heart for the people, then we have a reason to actually be in government. It is so shocking that you find one person who is a politician is having all, colossal sums of money, all sorts of wealth, cars, buildings, everything else, and they don't think about the people. That is inhuman indeed. So let us have, human kind of politicians that think about the people, have got the people at heart. Then we are going to develop as a country. I submit.
Thank you so much, panel, for your time. Thank you so much to you, our lovely viewer out there that has been watching from either YouTube or Facebook. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your contribution. Unfortunately, we did not have time to read your comments, but be rest assured, we'll go through them and get to see your comments and probably submissions that you have made. I've been your host, Lance Sanibanda, for this week's Viewpoint. Join us again when we come back on a Saturday at 21 hours. But hey, Ubuntu is still here as we bring to you gospel tomorrow on a Sunday at 20:30. So keep it locked. Thank you so much. Good evening and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Wow,
it appears we are still on. The director probably has got maybe some technicality or something like that, and we may continue with the program until we are cut out by the director, because we can't just match out just like that,